So I'll be talking about using Iris for things that you actually don't have. Of course, we use our databases for record keeping, and we try to put in all the things that we have in our collections. But often you run into a situation where lots of things have died, and I will go into, or, well, that depends, or situations where you, for example, have used up all the seeds in your seeds packages, and you need to inventory and find out what is still there and what has disappeared. And also, collection management is also about acquiring things. There's got to be things that you want to have, but that are not in your database yet. So I'll get into making wish lists using Iris. Yeah. Of course, we all have our neat seed storages. This is an example from Oslo, extremely well organized. And easy to look through. Yeah, we just, it's a bit like getting better search options on your computer. You could basically just put all the files on the desktop and use the search function. But that's a sidetrack. So what we do in Oslo to keep track of our the seeds in our seed storage, I will go in rather detailed in what we do using screenshots of Iris and explaining what we're doing to get an overview. So what we do to get an overview of this pile of stuff is create a task with all the seed items in your inventory. And it doesn't really matter how you put them in there. You could ask somebody to type them all in. What we do is use barcodes. We're not using a fancy Motorola in Oslo. we're just using an app. So, or several different apps on people's smartphones, because we find that most of the people working in the garden own a smartphone, and it makes it easy to just get it out of your pocket, make a list of whatever it is you were doing, and then use that list somehow. In this case, I could just email the list to myself, and then I'll copy paste it into the task at once. So it's just a one-click thing. It's quite easy, and I'm quite happy with the scanning capabilities of my phone as well. Okay, so you have your task with all your seeds in there, and then what you do is the next step in the process is you make a report with all the existing seed items in your database. So everything that was in there, which is not necessarily correct anymore. Then using the task that you made originally, here, you look for your task in the report field, and you pull out a report with all the items that you had in your inventory. And then what you want to do is, of course, subtract the inventory from your total list of seeds. So you find out which things are not actually around anymore. So you can do something about these incorrect items in your database. So what we do is we just copy paste these item numbers into an Excel file. And then in the Excel file we use a formula, or a nifty trick 1 or nifty trick 2 in this case, to subtract one column from the other, because obviously your inventory is going to be a subset of your total list of seeds in the database. You could also use another trick, which is just put them all into one column and look for the unique values. But this does involve getting out of Iris and doing this in Excel. And I think it should be possible to do it in Iris, but using a tagging system or something would be. So then what you do is you create a new task with all the stuff that is not in your inventory anymore, which you then can just copy paste out of Excel into a task. So so you will get a task with all the things that were actually not there. And then you use item management to look up that next task and change the status to something that involves them not being around anymore. And you will have a complete inventory of your seeds. And you can do that with any part of the garden. If you want to go to one of the flower beds that you haven't looked at for quite a while and you suspect that many of the things there have died, you can do a similar type of inventory and just update this in batches instead of going in record by record and looking at these things, which saves an incredible amount of time for doing things like drinking beer, walking around the garden. Yeah.
But you have to do this by hand. I mean, you can do all the items in the list or not?
You put all the items, you don't have to do anything by hand.
Okay.
Or would, well,
you just copy paste.
you have to copy paste the whole list, yeah. But you don't have to copy paste the items one by one.
No, but you have to switch on or off all the items by hand.
No, you can. That's what you're doing here. You're going into this. There's this item management field, and then what you do is you search for the task that you've made with all the things that were not in your seed storage anymore, and then you can update the status to something else here. You get a warning like you're destroying your database, but or this is dangerous. But we can then at once update this for all your items. So it's a way to avoid having to do this one by one. And it's quite easy to deal with for the gardeners as well, because all they have to do is provide you with that list using their smartphone or something. So it saves time for everybody.
I think it's possible to avoid Excel if you first make a task with your smartphone.
Yes.
And then update them that you're in inventory today. Then you can search for all things that are in inventory but not updated today, which are the things you don't have anymore.
Yeah,
so
you can do that as well.
Go to Excel.
Yeah, and then you can. But it's.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
if you
Maybe.
You can add an extra history item to it. Yeah.
But that involves registering that you have inventory.
Yeah.
If you want to just register what is dead and just leave the item status of the plants, the existing plants for what they are, and not add another registration, then you cannot do it. So it involves adding another registration for the things you've inventoried. Whereas you want to add the registration for the things you haven't found during your inventory. So it's adding information to your database.
To a database for every time your inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think the main.
Which I think is not necessary.
Well, you're saying that you have them, and the ones you don't have, you would find and change that you don't have them anymore.
Yeah, but then every time you would find them again and do another inventory, you would add that information to your database.
That's
yeah.
point, yes.
Yeah. So, you can.
Or you could add it to a task.
Sorry?
You could subtract them with the task.
No.
But
But if there would be a way to mark everything on your inventory in Iris, if there would be a way to say, okay, I want to find all the seeds that I have alive or present in my seed storage in Iris, and I can somehow mark these records temporarily with a sort of tagging system. And basically in the same way as you use the has a label or has no label thing. That's what I've been using for the seed storage as well. Although because we don't have any seeds without labels, so we don't use that feature there. But then you would be able to mark everything as present and then use item management to mark everything that was not on your list anymore by being not present. But we can discuss that. Yeah.
If you add it to a task, you could take that there in events.
Yeah.
That's a temporary thing.
That's a temporary thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to get into the wish lists, of course, we do want to get new plants, and we have taxon lists of things that we would like to have. So what we do here is we use a taxon list. So you create a task. It's very similar to the inventory, but so you create a list with all the taxa that you want to have in a certain area of your garden. And then you create a task with all the accessions. You could do this at item level as well, but it's not necessary. That you have existing items off already. You could do that either by scanning or filling it out. And then you create a taxon level task by searching for your earlier task. So you see you can sort of pull one task through another. So you can create a first task and then create the second task at a different level, so a taxon level, or instead of accession or item level. And then you can search for all the taxa that are on your list of accessions. So you can do this use these tasks in layers, so to say, by adding things. So then you will, by pulling one task through another, you will get a list of all the taxa on your taxon list that you already have available, which is of course what your real wish list is. You could say that the original taxon list is your wish list, but you probably do have a lot of taxa in your garden already. Then what you do is you generate two reports, one with all the taxa that you want to have, and one with those you have already, and you do a similar thing of subtracting one list from the other in Excel, because one of them is a subset of the other. So you do the same thing. And then you will get an overview of all the taxa that you still need to get that were on your list, but you actually don't have accessions of yet. And that is a list that you can then distribute to other people working in your garden, or to keep yourself for going out and collect things, or find things on seed orders, which is another thing that could be made more efficient, but we'll be into that. So that was just a brief overview of how we're using these things in Oslo to try and save time and be more efficient. I hope it was more or less clear. Otherwise, I'd be happy to show you if I can get online how we do this as well.
Yeah, I just want to add that when you had the wish list.
Yeah.
You have this original wish list, and you are able to find all the plants from your wish list that you do have.
Yeah.
Very simply.
Yeah.
But it's more complicated to find all the plants from your wish list that you don't have, and that's exactly what you want to know.
And that's what you want to know before you go out and order seeds.
That's the information that you're looking for. So that's the point of the last example.
Yeah, that's what the idea of wish list. And of course, it makes sense to be keeping records in your database, but yeah, collection management is as much about acquiring new taxa for your garden, and you want to be able to do that.